All right, hello. I just wanted to take a quick moment and walk you through what's in your week 9 learning module and just talk about some of the logistics as it relates to spring break. So this week we are wrapping up Unit 2, which is, as you know, all about pastoral grasses. And so you just want to make sure that you are reading Chapter 14. It's not very much. It's just over 10 pages. And go ahead and make your discussion board post and your replies to your peers. So, Chapter 14, the end of a unit, like I've done at the end of Unit 1, we do talk about this idea of eating in the spirit of the unit. And so I ask you to do the same thing. I ask you to prepare a meal with what we learned in Unit 2 and that mindset of pastoral grasses. So maybe you're going to think about consuming some beef that's grass-fed. Maybe you're going to look more to sourcing some local eggs or local vegetables to create some kind of meal. So again, you're preparing that meal with the mindset of pastoral grass in mind. And then the chapter ends with probably one of my favorite things that I love talking about as it relates to my food culture, which is this idea of the pleasures of the table. And so what we really mean here is what is it? Like, what is it about sitting down at the dinner table and sharing a meal with family, with friends, whatever that might be? I always tell my students that one of the things that my family still does is Sunday dinner. And when I was a kid, we were always at grandma's house for Sunday dinner. And full disclosure, and I'm recording this, but please don't share this video with my grandma. We didn't go to Sunday dinner because the dinner was delicious. My grandma, I love her to death, but she is not the best cook. She was notorious for cooking a roast too long and it was dry and hard to chew. She always liked to boil her vegetables until they were just like mush, right? So asparagus or broccoli or whatever it was. So it wasn't the meal necessarily. The reason that we went for Sunday dinner was the conversation, the time that I got to spend with my grandma, and those memories that I have around sitting at a table. And it's something that we do as a family pretty much every night with my family. We sit down at the table and we enjoy a meal. And it's largely centered around, obviously, the conversation from the day. We do high, low, highs. So everybody goes around and talks about one thing that made them really happy for the day, something that made them sad. But it's also the meal itself. So whatever meal I'm preparing for my family. So depending on the season and what we're harvesting from the garden, there's a sense of accomplishment if it's vegetables that we've grown from the garden and eggs from the chickens that are in our backyard. I try sometimes to put together entire meals that are just sourced from, again, the animals that we're raising, the vegetables that we're harvesting. And those are some of my favorite meals. Sourcing, no surprise, a beer drinker. So sourcing local beers rather than, something that's not local. So the pleasures of the table, what do you enjoy about this setting? What is it about sharing a meal that really brings you, the pleasure? So you're going to address those 4 questions in this learning module, and then as normal, reply to your peers. This week, as we're wrapping up this idea of grass-fed, there's a lot of information within the book about the nutritional benefits of grass-finished animals versus a corn-finished animal. And so I ask you to go out and find an article that supports that argument. Maybe they're higher in omega-3s, maybe their CLA is not as high, they're higher in beta-carotene. What is it that you found? And then share that information. I will say, when you go to do a blog, so you're going to go ahead and click, and actually let me go into student preview because that's going to make it a little bit easier for you to see here. But when you go out and click on that blog entry, make sure that you have your information ready. So you're going to go ahead and launch this blog. Up here is where you're going to create your blog entry. So once you're ready to post that, you'll just copy, you'll click create. It's like a text box similar to a discussion board. Like you'll put the title here, you'll enter your information, and then you'll go ahead and hit save down at the bottom. Once you're done with that blog, you will come back and notice next to my name, which you're not going to see this because nobody has submitted a blog yet, but when you click down, there will be a little down arrow next to your name. You'll be able to see other people's blog entries. And just kidding, there is one here. So let's use Takayla as an example. So she's entered this blog entry. You can see she's attached it, which is okay. You can also copy and paste that information. So you can go out and review that information. And then once you've read the blog, you're basically coming back and you're responding to that. So you can see this little comment button here that talks you through how somebody has already responded to Kayla's. So that is the intent of a blog. So you're going to come out, you're going to create that blog entry, and then you'll hit this little drop down arrow and you'll be able to see other students' names that have submitted those blogs so that you can go through and complete that part of the assignment. And then the other thing for this week, your Let's Connect, is my plan. So I make the joke, the list is kind of short, but this Let's Connect assignment is, it's not really big, but it probably will take you an hour to an hour and a half to complete. So you just want to make sure you give yourself some time to be able to work through that. So I tell you that you're going to go out and do this My Plan assessment. So I give you the link here. I tell you to go to the account tab and create a free account. You want to make sure that you have this license code to be able to create that free account. And then once you get out here and you get logged in, and I'm going to go ahead and log in under mine, you will have 4 assessments that you will need to complete. And so when you look over, here. When you look over on the left-hand side, you're going to see that there's 4 assessments, right? A personality test, an interest test, a skills test, and a values test. So you need to complete those 4 assessments. Personality tests, these are the Myers-Briggs, so it tells you what your 4-digit code is. So mine is an ESFP. Your interests, so this is really talking about what are those things that motivate you? If you scroll down, you can see words that describe you, things that you probably like doing in your spare time or things that are important to you. So it's good to kind of read through that and just see oh, this does reaffirm things that I do generally find interesting. I don't like going to the gym, but I do love spending time with my family and cooking, right? And especially throwing parties. That's one of my favorite things to do. So skills. This is going to go through and look at your, let me click on it again here because that doesn't look quite right. So it's giving me a summary analysis, but I can come in here and look at career comparisons and say, based on my skills, what would be some good career matches for me? So let's just take a quick look here. So skills are largely centered around what are those things that you're good at, right? So maybe it's communicating, maybe it's working on a computer, so you're going to take that quiz to determine what your skills are. And then the last one that you're going to do is your values, which largely is in the workplace, how are you best supported? What do you value within the workplace? For me, I need to work in a place where people are supporting me and I have really solid relationships with the people that I work with. So you can go through and read based on your scores after you take these assessments, where you rank with those. Once you're all done with this, I want you to take a screenshot. And what I'm asking you to take a screenshot of is under the assessment tab, you are going to click on career match. And when you click on career match, you can either leave it as the values, you can choose the personality. I like to view the composite score. And when I view the composite score, there's a couple of things here that you're going to see. You're going to see a ranking of careers that are based on all of those things. So my personality, my interests, my skills, and my values. And so it's aggregated all of that and said, these are the things that you would be good at. You can change this education level. So let's say I know that I'm going to get a bachelor's degree. So what does that do to my list? And then you want to take a look at that list. And I would say look at probably the top 10. So for myself, I have a graduate degree. So what are those top 10 things? And what you're going to notice here are themes. So I have zero desire to work in prosthetics. But what is that field? So is that the healthcare industry? Based on my values, I value human services, I value socializing, I value helping people. So really take a look at that and kind of determine based on the assessment, what are some of those overarching themes? Not necessarily what are those exact career matches, but what's the general theme based on things that I value. So you will take a screenshot of this. You're going to notice that this doesn't have my name anywhere, but it does show me over here on the left that these 4 assessments have been completed, and it gives me the date. So that's super helpful for me to see that you've done that. And then it shows me composite score, and then you choose your education. So if you are I'm just going to go to CWI and do a 2-year program, change it to that. That's totally fine. So you're going to take a screenshot of this entire thing, and this is what you're going to upload. And then I want you to talk to me about it, right? So I want you to answer these questions. Discuss what you learned about yourself. Do you feel that the occupation suits you? And then how do your studies here at CWI help benefit you as you move towards those career goals? So this is a really good opportunity for you to do some career exploration. It's a really good opportunity for you to just, kind of, like I said, explore some things based on your personality, your interests, the things that you value, those sorts of things. So that is what you will be submitting this week for your Let's Connect. Last thing, as you know, we're moving into spring break. So week 9 is currently open. You have the opportunity to either work through and complete week 9 this week, or you can choose to take a break and rest and relax and do whatever you need to do, because spring break is next week. So technically, your week 9 learning module isn't due until Monday, March 28th. So just know that in the back of your mind, you can either go ahead and work through your materials this week so that you can actually take a break next week, or take a break here and there and just know that all of your materials are due in 2 weeks, because you do have spring break for this week. And I encourage you to take that time. Take a break, enjoy yourself. We've talked about self-care. We've talked about coping with stress. Take a moment to rest, rejuvenate. We're now on that downhill slope of we're on week 9. So when you come back after spring break, we have 6 weeks left. So things are rocking and rolling, and hopefully you have a chance to rest and come back full force to finish out the semester. So as always, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out. Otherwise, I hope you all have a fantastic break, and I will see you in a few weeks.